You say you want more money, more success, more freedom, more impact. But let me ask you something real if you truly wanted more. Why are you still choosing comfort over growth? Why are you still sleeping in when the alarm goes off? Why are you still scrolling when you should be studying? Why are you still watching other people win instead of putting in the work yourself? The truth is simple. You are addicted to comfort. And comfort is killing your potential. Comfort feels good, it's warm, it's safe, it doesn't challenge you. It doesn't stretch you, but let me tell you something, nothing grows in comfort. Muscles don't grow in comfort. Discipline doesn't grow in comfort. Greatness does not grow in comfort. Growth only happens when you're uncomfortable. When it burns, when it's inconvenient, when it requires sacrifice, and you keep running from that feeling. You want the reward, but you don't want the resistance. You want the spotlight, but you don't want the struggle. You want the results, but you don't want the routine. That's why you're stuck, because success is rented and the rent is due every single day. Comfort tells you you deserve a break. Discipline tells you you deserve the results. And every day you make a choice between the two. Let's be honest. You're not tired, you're undisciplined. You're not stuck, you're comfortable. You've built a routine that protects your feelings instead of building your future. You avoid hard conversations, you avoid difficult tasks, you avoid risks, and then you wonder why your life hasn't changed. Change only shows up when comfort leaves the room. The people you admire, they're uncomfortable daily. They wake up before they feel ready. They train when they're exhausted. They study when they're bored. They push when it hurts, not because they're special, but because they refuse to negotiate with comfort. They understand that temporary discomfort creates permanent growth. Right now, your comfort zone feels safe, but it's actually a cage, and every day you stay inside it, your confidence shrinks, your dreams shrink. Your belief shrinks. Comfort whispers, stay here, it's easier. But easier does not mean better. Easy does not build champions. Easy builds regret. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline. You don't need a new plan. You need a new standard. Raise the standard. Stop asking, do I feel like it? Start asking, does this move me forward? If the answer is yes, do it even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, being uncomfortable is not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're growing. That nervous feeling, that's expansion, that resistance, that's transformation knocking. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. And if you keep choosing comfort, regret will become your permanent roommate. So here's the challenge. Do one uncomfortable thing every single day. Wake up earlier, train harder. Study longer, speak up, take the risk, send the email, make the call, push yourself beyond what feels good. Because on the other side of comfort is confidence. On the other side of fear is freedom. On the other side of discomfort is the version of you that you keep talking about becoming. If you're still stuck, it's not because you can't win. It's because you won't leave comfort. The moment you stop protecting your feelings and start protecting your future, everything changes. Everybody's got a plan. Everybody's got a dream. Everybody's got a vision board, a caption, an announcement, a strategy. But let me ask you something. How much work have you actually done? Not what you said you were going to do. Not what you posted. Not what you promised. What did you execute? Because talking about it is not doing it. And if you're still stuck, it's because your mouth is working harder than your hands. We live in a world where it's easy to look productive. You can tweet about the grind. You can post quotes about discipline. You can tell your friends about your next big move. But none of that builds muscle. None of that builds skill. None of that builds income. Execution does. And execution is quiet, execution is repetitive, execution is boring, and most people don't like boring. You get excited about the idea, you get hyped about the vision, but when it's time to sit down and put in 2 hours of focused work, suddenly you're distracted, suddenly you're tired, suddenly something else feels more important. That's why you're stuck. Because success doesn't reward excitement, it rewards consistency. Let me tell you something. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with daily execution. Not motivation, not inspiration, execution, the small, unglamorous, repetitive actions done over and over again. You don't need another podcast. You need another hour of practice. You don't need another strategy session. You need to finish what you started. Some of you are addicted to planning because planning feels safe. Planning feels productive, but planning without action is procrastination in disguise. You've been getting ready for years. When are you going to start? When are you going to move? When are you going to produce? Winners don't talk about what they're going to do. They show up and do it. They don't need applause before they act. They don't need validation before they move. They understand that results speak louder than announcements. And right now, your results are whispering while your excuses are screaming. You say you want to write a book. How many pages have you written this week? You say you want to start a business. How many customers have you contacted? You say you want to get in shape. How many workouts have you completed? Don't tell me what you want. Show me what you're doing. Execution is uncomfortable because it exposes you. When you execute, you can fail. When you execute, you can be judged. When you execute, you can fall short. But when you just talk, there's no risk, and that's why you stay there, because talking protects your ego. Execution builds your future. Here's the truth: imperfect action beats perfect intention every single time. You don't need to get it right. You need to get it going. Messy action is better than polished excuses. Progress is built on movement, not meetings. If you want to stop being stuck, lower the volume on your words and raise the intensity of your work. Set a target, break it into daily tasks, and execute whether you feel like it or not, especially when you don't feel like it. Because at the end of the day, nobody gets paid for ideas, nobody gets promoted for dreams, nobody gets results for talking. You get rewarded for execution, so stop announcing, stop explaining, stop overthinking, start working. You keep saying, I'm waiting for the right time to start the business, the right time to go back to school. The right time to get serious about your goals, the right time to take that risk. But let me tell you something that might hit hard: the right time is a myth. It does not exist. And while you're waiting for perfect conditions, somebody else is building in imperfect ones. You think successful people had clarity before they moved. You think they felt ready. You think they had the money, the confidence, the connections, the guarantee. No, they had uncertainty, they had fear, they had doubt. The only difference is they moved anyway. You're stuck because you've convinced yourself that you need to feel ready before you begin. But readiness doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. Confidence is built through doing. Strength is built through resistance. Experience is built through mistakes. If you wait until you feel confident, you'll be waiting forever. There will always be a reason not to start. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough knowledge, not enough support. But let me flip that. What if starting is the thing that creates the money, the time, the knowledge, the support? You don't wait for opportunity. You create it through movement. Right now, fear is disguising itself as logic. You're calling it planning, you're calling it preparing, you're calling it being smart, but deep down you're scared. Scared to fail, scared to look foolish, scared to lose, and instead of facing that fear, you've decided to pause your life. Listen to me, fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal. It means you're about to grow. It means you're stepping into something bigger than your current identity. And growth is always uncomfortable. You want guarantees, you want certainty, but there are no guarantees at the top. The only guarantee is this: if you don't start, nothing changes. If you don't move, you stay stuck. If you don't try, you lose automatically. Perfection is procrastination in a pretty outfit. You keep tweaking the plan, adjusting the details, waiting for everything to align, but life does not reward perfection, it rewards progress. You can adjust while moving, you can learn while building, you can improve while executing, but you cannot win while waiting. Every day you delay is a day someone else gains momentum. Every week you hesitate is a week your dream gets further away. Time does not slow down because you're unsure. It keeps moving, and the question is, are you moving with it? You don't need the perfect moment. You need courage. You don't need clarity. You need commitment. You don't need everything figured out. You need to take the first step. Start messy, start scared, start uncertain, but start. Send the application. Launch the idea. Post the content. Take the class. Make the call. Have the conversation. Stop rehearsing your future and start living it. Because here's the truth: the perfect time is not coming. Conditions will never be flawless. You will never feel 100% ready. But if you move now, you'll build momentum. And momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. You're not stuck because you lack potential. You're stuck because you're waiting for a moment that doesn't exist. The clock is ticking. Move. You're still stuck because you haven't made a real decision, not a weak "I'll try," and not a soft "I hope it works," and not a casual "let's see what happens." I'm talking about a decision that cuts off every other option, a decision that burns the boats, a decision that says there is no plan B. You say you want success, but you've left the door open for retreat. You've left space for excuses. You've left room to quit when it gets uncomfortable. And as long as quitting is an option, you will use it. That's why you're stuck. Because interest doesn't create transformation, commitment does. When you're interested, you do what's convenient. When you're committed, you do whatever it takes. Right now, you're operating off interest. You work on your goals when you feel motivated. You push when it's exciting. You show up when it's easy. But the moment it gets hard, the moment it demands sacrifice, the moment it costs you sleep, comfort, or ego, you back up. That's not a decision, that's a preference, and preferences don't change lives, decisions do. A real decision shifts your identity. It's not "I'm trying to get fit." It's "I am an athlete." It's not "I want to start a business." It's "I am an entrepreneur." It's not "I hope I succeed." It's failure is not an option. When you decide at that level, your behavior changes automatically. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop debating with doubt. You stop entertaining excuses because you already chose, and once the choice is made, the only thing left is execution. Right now, you're exhausted not because the goal is too big, but because you keep going back and forth. One day you're all in, the next day you're unsure, one week you're disciplined, the next week you're distracted. That inconsistency is draining you. Make the decision once and stop revisiting it. Stop waking up every morning trying to figure out if you're going to chase your dream. Decide once and let that decision carry you on the days your feelings don't. Feelings are temporary. Decisions are permanent, and success requires permanence. The people you admire didn't have fewer obstacles. They had stronger decisions. They didn't wake up every day asking if they felt like it. They already made up their mind. Quitting was removed from the menu. Complaining was removed from the menu. Blaming others was removed from the menu. The only option left was growth. That's the level you have to reach. Because until success becomes a must instead of a maybe, you will treat it casually. And you cannot win casually. You cannot dominate casually. You cannot transform casually. You must decide that average is no longer acceptable. That excuses are no longer acceptable. That going back is no longer acceptable. Draw the line, make it clear. Tell yourself, from this day forward, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I don't stop. When the decision is real, discipline becomes easier. Focus becomes sharper. Standards become higher, and momentum becomes inevitable. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because you haven't fully committed. The moment you decide for real, not emotionally, not temporarily, but permanently, everything shifts. Decide, lock in, and refuse to look back.